Hello, my name is Casey, and today I will be talking about early childhood education models. The models we'll be looking at today are Montessori, HighScope, Project Approach, and Reggio Emilia. The first model we will be talking about today is Montessori. In this model, the education is self-directed activities, hands-on learning, and collaboration with other students. The students are able to do the learning with certain levels of guidance in the process. This gives the ability to be able to explore any curiosity they may have as they're learning, which helps them to have a better relationship with learning as they get older. You can see this demonstrated in the picture in the bottom right-hand corner. There are 7 key principles to Montessori. Play is work, independence, which is how they'll grow in their skills, hands-on learning, which is them using their 5 senses to explore what's around them, respect, which is an important lesson as they get older, freedom with limits, observation, which is the teacher can provide guidance when it's necessary, and prepared environments, which is making sure that they have all the resources to explore the different types of learning that they need. You can also see a model of this demonstrated in the right-hand corner with these different principles. Some pros and cons of Montessori. The pros: the children are able to be independent when they grow in their confidence and their skills. They are not evaluated as a group, both each child as an individual. They have more rules than you would find in a normal daycare, which leads to self-discipline. They develop social skills from collaboration with other children. Since they're learning about what they're interested in, they can grow in their love for learning. And if a child has specific needs, they can be met, and they will get any support that they need. The cons are these type of schools can be really expensive. Finding a school that aligns with the exact Montessori values may be difficult. Depending on what Montessori schools you go to, the different programs within might vary. They have a loose curriculum. There could be too much independence, which may result in the child not knowing how to deal with structure later. They may have a hard time transitioning to tests as they get older and go into the higher grades. Other things to know about Montessori: the Montessori model was established by a theorist named Maria Montessori. The classrooms are meant to accommodate children with specific age ranges that are separated into categories: infant and toddler, which is birth through 3, primary, which is 3 through 6, elementary, which is 6 through 12, and adolescence, which is 12 through 18. In 1929, Maria established the Association Montessori Internationale, the AMI, which is a training center for teachers to learn about how they can best teach the children in these environments. And you can see a picture of her in the top right corner. The next model that we will be looking at is HighScope. HighScope is a belief that children learn best when they are fully engaged and self-directed in their learning process. This consists of a child-led structured curriculum with an indispensable role of an educator. This means that the teacher and the learning are combined into one. This model also makes sure that parents are strongly involved with their children's learning, and the learning happens in both the classroom inside and outside the classroom walls. This model also helps to make sure the parents are strongly involved in their children's learning, and the learning happens both inside and outside the classroom walls. And there's a picture demonstrated below. The key principles of HighScope are active participatory learning. With this, it's important to have materials, manipulation, choice, child language, and thought, and support from adults. You also have the learning environment, which have different areas of play to separate learning. You have constant daily routines, which sets a day-by-day routine to give the children a sense of safety. You have adult-child interactions, which assist the child in directing them. And you also have assessment and planning, which helps to track the child's progress. You can see at the bottom there's, on the left, a picture of a girl who could either be with an educator or a parent, and they're playing together, as well as also having a diagram to the right, which has a visual version of the model. The pros and cons of HighScope. The pros are that it promotes children to interact with their environment. The curriculum is age appropriate for the child. It promotes children to take responsibility for their actions and helps them to be independent. This uses assessment to track children's progress, and they have constant routines to help the kids thrive. Some cons are this requires staff who are trained specifically with these methods. The methods may not work for all types of children. It requires a range of materials that may not be available for all classrooms. And the assessment system that's used is very time-consuming. Other information about HighScopes is HighScope is established by David Weikart. Adults are a key part of the environment in the classroom because they're the support and the guidance. And in this model, the role of the educator is to be a facilitator, an observer, an evaluator, and a co-learner, as you see in the bottom. The next model is the Reggio Emilia model. This focuses on letting the minds of the children wander, which encourages the children to understand the environment around them, how they feel, think, and helps them to make a sense of the world around them. This is also important to the model to be project-based and having the environment as the third teacher, as well as documentation. The key principles of Reggio Emilia are that it's child-centered. The child is the one that's choosing what to learn. They are learning from the environment, so the environment acts as the third teacher. Documentation can help the teacher get to know the child better and learn what they need. Inquiry, which helps the children to understand the world. Observation, which is important for documentation. Collaboration, which helps them to build meaning with others. And community, which is families and communities get involved in the planning. You can see the children on the right are playing in a sandbox, which is an example of them interacting with the environment as the third teacher. And in the bottom left, you also have a visual diagram of these principles. The pros and cons of this model. The pros are its child-centered learning, its emergent curriculum, its project-based learning, it's a collaborative environment, there's emphasis on documentation, it fosters curiosity and independence, there's a rich and stimulating environment. The cons are there's a lack of standardized curriculum, it's resource intensive, it requires highly trained educators. It can be difficult to measure their process. This may not be the best method for all children. Other information on this model is this model was established and named after a town in Italy called Reggio Emilia. The pedagogies and philosophies were developed in the 1950s, and this model takes some ideas from T. Wericke. You can also see that the children are playing together and collaborating in the photo below. The last model that I will be talking about is the project approach. The project approach is based on project learning in the classroom. A project is usually classified as an open-ended study based on everyday topics. Based on the project, they will discover the answers themselves as a way to grow in their learning, as well as learning how to solve problems and think critically. The key principles of the project approach are broken down into 3 phases. Phase 1 is the teachers will work with the children to find a common topic of interest based on the experiences that the children have had in the past. If you look at the top right-hand corner, you can see that there's a visual diagram of these elements. Numbers 1, challenging problem, 2, sustained inquiry, 3, authenticity, and 4, student voice and choice are all part of this first phase. Phase 2 is the children are talking to different experts in the field and using different types of materials and methods to further learn about what they're studying. This can be seen in number 5, which is reflection. During the final stage, children will work with their teachers and other children around them, as well as their communities and their parents or guardians, to find results of a problem that they're being faced with. These sections would fall into number 6, critique and revision, as well as 7, which is public product. The pros and cons of the project approach are: pros, there's cooperation and teamwork. It makes education and learning fun. There's a variety of instruction types. There's a deep understanding and there's control. The cons are: classroom management can be a problem, missed content if the student doesn't grasp a certain part of the project the first time, and working in groups can be tough sometimes, especially if there's one person who is a very dominant leader. This could lead to them doing all of the work and the other children not learning in the areas they should. Other information about the project approach: John Dewey was the founder of project-based learning, which is the basis for the project approach to stand on. Project approach was established by Lillian Kayes, Judith Harris Helm, and Sylvia Chard. The project learning dates back to the 1900s, and in this last decade, there's been an increase in project learning. Out of all 4 of these models, the one that I find the most effective is the Montessori model. I feel this model is the most effective because when you're looking at the description of the other models, I feel that the Montessori model has the elements of all the different models combined. You can see that when you are looking at the high scope, that they believe in using their hands for learning, which can be found in the Montessori model. In the Reggio Emilia model, you can see that it talks about letting the child explore to learn, which is also a point in the Montessori model. In the project approach, it talks about the importance of collaborating with others, which is also important in the Montessori model. Overall, I feel that this model is the one that I have the most familiarity with, since it's the one that I've seen examples of in real life the most. And these are the resources used for all the information. Thank you.